morning everyone. Hope you're all well. I thought I'd come on today to introduce myself. I'm Jane Taylor. I'm the face behind this business, Taylor Made Cake Courses, and obviously at Cakes by Jane Taylor. I've been in business now for 9 years, I think it is. Yeah, 9 years. And I've been piping buttercream flowers for 8 of those. I live in the beautiful part of Kent, also known as Garden of England, called Tenterden. Lived here my whole life, all 48 years, nearly 49. Yeah, it's a lovely part of the UK. So yes, I'm here in the UK. As you can tell by my accent, not everyone, most people don't know where I'm from because we Kentish people have a strange accent, I think. But yeah, I'm not London, I'm from Kent. I am married to my husband Lee, and we have 5 children. We have Francis, who's 27, Georgia, who's 26, Grace, who's 24, Alexia, who's 16, and Oliver, who's 13. So it's hard to remember. Yeah, and we have 2 grandchildren, one not quite here, due any day, and a granddaughter, Margot. And not forgetting Ted, our little cockapoo, who's 7 months old. Now, I've always enjoyed baking, but it was very sort of sporadic. I'd go through phases of baking, you know, classic cakes like coffee and walnut and Victoria sponge, etc. But I'd only do it in phases because we'd all end up eating so much all the time. And then you put on loads of weight, don't you? So you stop making them. But I happened to come across this sort of line of work because Oliver, when he went to school, I was bored senseless. Friends and family thought it'd be quite good because I still wanted to be at home and be available to my children and be on call and take them to school. I didn't want to have, you know, childminders and stuff like that. Was to start selling cakes. So I simply set up a Facebook page. My friends helped set it up for me, and I started the business. Really enjoyed it. It was obviously slow to begin with, which all businesses are. I used to offer sort of flavoured cupcakes really, and then I went into big cakes, which I found super stressful. They were not a bit of me whatsoever. But just the level of stress I personally found with big cakes was just off the scale. The pressure, getting it right, knowing whether you can do it or not, whatever the weather's like, that will determine what the cake's like. It was just too much, and it was, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2016, I think it was, when my husband said, you either stop doing the big cakes or we're done. Because I was just horrible when I was trying to do these cakes. It was just so stressful. I used to feel physically sick. And like I say, this gluten-free wedding cake, it was a 40, it was the last big cake I did. So I then sort of ventured into cupcakes, which I really enjoyed because they're easy, they're quick. I always find cupcakes quick. Because again, if you sort of muck a batch up, they're so much easier to redo if you happen to muck a batch up. So I went down that route and really enjoyed it. I used to do flavoured cupcakes like salted caramel, jammy dodger, coffee and walnut, you know, all those sort of things. I used to sell selection boxes, which were a massive hit. But I got bored very, very quickly. I think with this industry that you're in, you've got to keep sort of evolving and changing because it can become so monotonous doing the same thing over and over and over and over. So I needed to add a bit of variety into it. So I came across Cupcake Gemma, who was piping these buttercream hydrangeas, and I was like, that is amazing. That is literally amazing. So I looked more into floral cupcakes, and then the bug hit me. I took an online wrapping course, and the rest is history. Absolutely loved it. My first cupcake bouquet took me hours. It was only 7, the first initial one I did. I swear it took me 4 hours, and the kitchen was complete carnage. Buttercream everywhere, used every work surface known to man, and this tiny little 7 cupcake bouquet was produced. But I absolutely loved it. I loved the buzz of what it looked like, what I'd achieved, and I just carried on and flew on from there. I sold my first 12 cupcake bouquet to my husband's boss, who absolutely loved it, and then just carried on. I looked into real flowers. Like, once you get to know the nozzles, you can work out which nozzle will make a certain petal on a certain flower. So I get a lot of my inspiration from real flowers. So I'll quite often go into a supermarket and just photograph all the bouquets. I do quite often wonder what the supermarket workers think, whether I'm some sort of, not a spy, what do they call it? Those people that go around and check on stuff in store. So I just photograph everything. Or if you see a flower out that you really like, photograph it, look at it, work out what nozzle you might think will work with it. The more you do this, the more you won't overthink the nozzles, because it's like a minefield when you first start. The level of nozzles is insane. As you can probably tell by my videos, I do tend to go off on a tangent. I can be talking about one thing and I veer off and go on about something else. That's just the way my brain works. That's what happens. I will eventually come back to the point I was trying to make, but I do that. So you just have to bear with me, because I suddenly think of other things. I think, no, I need to tell them about that. So you have to bear with the way I work. Yeah, that's just me. Going back, I just kept practicing new flowers, different flowers, Googling flowers, and just practicing. That is the key to this. If you want to go down this route, either as a hobby, as a side hustle, or as a full-time business, practice is key. That's the main thing I can recommend. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, you will see the progression very, very quickly if you keep practicing. I always say to my students, it's no good, say coming to me, for example, for a one-to-one and then not doing it for 2 weeks, a month, because you will forget it. It's like anything, you've got to keep at it. And if you can do, like I said, even 10 minutes a day, if you've got more time, fantastic, carry on. You will literally see the progress. And I really recommend that you photograph your progress, because sometimes you can do it, you think, oh, I'm not getting any better. But if you actually look back at your original pictures, you can see your progression. Now, the biggest thing I always say is do not aim for perfection. You'll see this throughout my website. It's all I talk about, because there is no such thing as perfect. You're dealing with a medium that can be temperamental, depending on the weather, your hands, how hot they are, etc., etc. So all I would recommend is just to look at your progression, see how far you come. Now, once I started offering the floral cupcakes, they were a huge hit, and it literally took off immediately, I have to admit, literally immediately. I hit loads of fails so far as not knowing how to colour. For example, my first Valentine's Day was literally a month into me learning how to do this, and I just could not get red buttercream, and I ended up putting 4 of the tiny pots of sugar paste into 12 swirl roses that were red. It was horrendous. I dread to think what the customers' stomachs were like or what happened after. But you learn along the way. And the reason I've started this business teaching online is to show you all the tips and tricks I can without you having to go through what I went through. I was being asked on a continual basis pretty much every day, do you teach, do you teach, do you teach? And for me, it was my worst nightmare. It was like, no, absolutely not. I do not teach. Wasn't interested in it at all. It was quite honestly my worst nightmare, being in front of a camera or even being face to face with people and trying to teach. I just didn't think I'd have that skill set. So it was always a no, no, no. But it got to the point where it was like, if you believe in all this sort of stuff like I do, the universe is shoving stuff in your face all the time, showing you signs, you have to act on it. And it was my marketing team that said, you've got to do this. You've literally got to do this. You don't have any choice anymore. So I offered my first class. I think it was class 12. Can't actually remember. It's so many years ago now. I think it was a class 12, and it sold out within minutes. And it was a huge hit. I was very nervous. It was not something I would ever want to experience again, that feeling. I literally thought I was going to cry. The minute I stood in front of this class of people, my lips started to go. So I had to remove myself. I had to excuse myself, go into the bathroom that was next to the room, and just be like, I looked in the mirror and was like, you can do this. Just do it. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. So just go and do it. And I did. And it was a huge success. Huge, huge, huge success. Everyone went away with a box of 12 buttercream flowers, which they were over the moon with. Once the last person left, myself and Fran, who's from Rockpool, which is my best friend and my marketing team, we both just burst into tears. It was the joy, I think, of it being over, because it was like I said, my worst nightmare. And pride, if I'm being honest. I was really proud of myself. And it's not very often I say that. So it was a huge, huge deal. Yeah, I couldn't believe I did it. You know, it was an amazing feeling. Not at the beginning, I can assure you, it was horrible. But I did it. My voice was very shaky and stuff like that, but I soon got into it. And as you can tell, I love to talk, so it wasn't an issue. I just talked my way through it. It was fab. Then I set up another class. Again, that sold out, and it kept happening. But then I was being asked, do you do online? Because obviously not everyone in the world can get to Kent in Tenterden, Tenterden, Kent, which is, obviously, there's people in America, that's an issue. So I decided to offer online courses, which we did again, which was a huge hit. But the website certainly was not man enough. We did not expect it to go the way it did. When I say we, I'm talking about myself and my marketing team. So there's Fran, Emily and Jenny. They help me in the background so far as admin. What the website looks like, that's all them. It's nothing to do with me. I say what I want, and then they put that in place and make it beautiful as it is, as you can see. Yeah, so the website, we didn't, like I said, didn't think it would go as crazy as it did. So we had to redo the website and make it more man enough, basically. I'm sure it's a 58-page website. It's insane. I offer 68 flower tutorials. So there's never a worry of not being able to learn something new. I have thousands of students online all over the world. I've had students come here from all over the world for a class. It's just been unreal. It's been a ride, I can assure you. It's amazing what people are willing to do to learn a new skill. Like I said, you don't have to set this up as a business. Some people just love doing it as a hobby. It's amazing for your mental health, for mindfulness, to zone out for a while, which is what it actually forces you to do. You don't actually have any choice. You can't think about anything else. So if you've got, all stuff going on in the background, which we all do, don't we? Let's face it. Having that sort of hour or couple of hours of just zoning out of the world and just concentrating on something and producing something really beautiful. You do have to be realistic in your goals. I've had many students who I've had messages from over the years who said, I just can't get it. It's just not clicking. When does it click in, etc. And then I sort of dug deeper and realised they'd only been doing it for a week. Don't expect miracles. This is something that takes time. If you look at my original cupcake bouquet to where I am now, that's evolved over the years. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you years to learn this skill. It does not. I have all my one-to-one students go home with a box of floral cupcakes that look like floral cupcakes. They look like flowers. They're amazing. So that isn't the case. What the case is seeing your progression. When you progress and you don't start to think about things or overthink things, you know which nozzle is which, so everything becomes quicker. Like with anything, as I said before, you'll hear me say this 50 million times. Practice makes progress. We're not aiming for perfection here. If you look at real flowers, none of them are perfect. If you want your cupcake bouquets or floral cupcakes to look realistic, aim for realism, not perfection, because that is not a thing. What I show you in my beginner's course, if you're interested, is the foundation of buttercream flower piping. I always liken it to driving a car. When you learn to drive, the driving instructor doesn't teach you how to drive. They teach you the mechanics of the car. Then when you've passed your test, you then learn to drive, don't you? It's not you're not, an amazing driver. The minute you pass your test, you're going to have accidents. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to make mistakes. It's no different than this. I show you the building blocks so you can then progress more easily, basically. That's how it is. You will find as soon as you start that it will take you hours. That's just normal, I'm afraid. So don't think, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to make money? If you're doing this as a side business or your main career, how am I ever going to make money? You will. You'll just become quicker. It's literally like anything you do. The more you practice, the quicker you become. But equally, what's the rush? We're always like going 30, 40 miles an hour all the time, aren't we? Give yourself the grace and time to learn this skill. Look, Ted's here, checking out the squirrels. Ted. No, he zoned out. if you hear a noise in the background, it's because he's chewing his bone behind me. But anyway, he heard me talking on here and started screaming, so I had to get him out. Yeah, just give yourself time. Just let this be, even if, you know, you are doing this as a career, give yourself the chance to do this. You know, don't just pipe things and think, can't do it. I've had that so many times with students that have come here who go, I can't do it. It's like, that's not true. Look at what you've just piped. That is, what flower is that? And you can see straight away the roses or whatever it is they've piped. It's, people are so self-critical, and I think bakers are the worst for it. The being, you know, criticising your own work and stuff like that and comparing to others. I will say this quote till the day I die: comparison is the thief of joy. It absolutely is true. Do not compare yourself to others. You can't look at other people and think, why doesn't mine look like that or whatever. You don't want to aim for yours to look like someone else's. You want them to look like yours, so it's your style. Doesn't matter if, like, again, when I've had students in, they say, but my rose doesn't look like yours. And it's like, I've been doing it for 9 years. I'm going to be better than you at it. It's my job. This is my job I'm teaching you. I'd like to think I am better than you are right now, because you've literally only just started. So please give yourself the chance. I probably sound really obnoxious talking like that, but I'd like to think 9 years on that I am pretty good at it. Otherwise, I don't qualify to teach it, do I, really? If, you know, it's about the only thing in my life that I'm like, no, I'm really good at it. Maybe a few other things, but that's one thing I can say. No, I'm really good at it. I am, and I'm proud of what I produce. I think we're all, you know, so quick to jump to the negative and everything, aren't we? Rather than looking at, yeah, that's good, or I've never done this before, look what I've done, you know, so try and get into that mindset. But anyway, Ted's about to start going nuts in a minute, I can tell, because there's a squirrel out on the fence goading him. So I'll leave you with that today, and let me know what you think, if it's helped. And I'll obviously carry on talking all the time now. I'm back on it. So if you used to follow me, I'm back. So let me know what you think. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you all. Have a good day.